What's up, guys? Welcome to our second episode of the podcast. Jacob, what are we doing today?
Today, we're going to be looking at a tier list of all of the attractions and shows at Magic Kingdom.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. So, here are sort of the rules that we're going to go by. So, there are going to be 6 different tiers that a ride or show can be listed under, and we're going to judge them based on our personal experience and how they are compared to all the others that can be on the enjoyment of the ride, the practicality, ride times, the amount of time that you're actually on the ride. There are many things that can go into the score of the ride, and then we're going to list them from the top being S, then going down to A, B, C, D, and then we're going to F tier is the bottom. So let's see what they're rated.
Yeah, I hopefully I didn't miss one. I think I tried my best to make sure I didn't miss any. So let's just kind of jump straight into it. This first one I know you haven't been on, so I'm
Really?
gonna be the main
That's hard to see.
person on this. But it's Astro Orbiter. That's in Tomorrowland. That's the one that's on top of um the little like restaurant area in the center.
I have been on that.
You have.
Right, I've been on that.
Oh, I thought. Okay, then that's my bad. Then perfect. We have something to go on to. So first thoughts for me. Honestly, when I first look at it, it seems pretty basic, as it looks like Aladdin's Aladdin's carpets and Dumbo. So when I first was like thinking about it, I was like, this is lame because it's the same spinny thing over and over again. But then my first time going on it, I thought it was actually cool because it was so high in the air.
Right, I can definitely agree with that. I think the only challenge I had with that ride was being I was so young and scared of heights. So compared to Dumbo, it was really high in the sky, and of course that made me more scared as a kid. But I think looking back at it now, I could see there's a lot more value to having it set apart from the other two rides that are very similar to that. But also, that's also a great spot to watch fireworks or any event or parade. So if you're looking for someone to have a great spot to look, that's a great place to start at.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I personally think it's around average still though. But I think it's a little bit above average as like, Dumbo and Magic Carpet, they're not gonna belong in A or S tier, obviously. So I think the Astro should go in B. What do you think?
I think that, in my personal opinion, Astro should go in C tier.
And C. Okay. All right. Yeah, I can agree with C. I can agree with C. C and B are pretty much hand in hand, kinda, just because um they go, they just go round and round. Okay, so the next one is one that I semi enjoy. It's Barnstormer, Goofy's Barnstormer in the circus area of, I think it's Fantasyland. I
Hmm.
think that goes off to Fantasyland. Have you been on that one?
I have not been on that one
Okay.
recently.
Oh, recently. So you have been on it.
Probably when I was younger, yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, so yeah, it's kind of like a basic, roller coaster. Um, I mean, I like it. Just I don't know. I don't want to say I like it. It's something to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
It has low wait times. So if you're, not wanting to go on something like Tron or Space Mountain, um, it's something that will have, 20 to 35 minutes, but not really beyond that. It is meant for little kids. That's why it's in the little circus area, because obviously it's not flippy or anything like that, but it's a pretty basic coaster.
Okay. Just, I'm not going to be too harsh because I haven't been able to give it my true judgment since being on it from when I was a kid. But I would say personally I would give it a C tier. Um, just because of its ability to be an option for the younger kids to be able to ride, but also give it some nostalgia points from being able to probably ride it as a kid and it means something.
Yeah, I agree. C was where I was thinking. So yeah,
Sounds
we'll put
great.
that right in C. Next one that we have is Big Thunder. That one's one of the big hitters. Um, Now we currently are it's under construction right now, so that gives you kind of a time frame on when this came out. So we don't know what it's like post renovations. But I mean, we haven't been on it since we had these passes, these setup passes. So we're strictly basing it on when we were little.
Well, I previously wrote it in 2023, so I've written
Okay.
it pretty recently before it got shut down for renovations. So I'll kind of take the lead on this one. It was great. Tron was still a virtual queue, so you couldn't kind of get onto that ride very easily. And Tiana was also down, wasn't open yet. So that Big Thunder Mountain was more so one of the really big hitters that they had at the park at that time. And they also still Space Mountain was still there doing its thing. So and I really resonated with that ride. It's a great coaster. So I would definitely put it in A tier.
Right there. Yeah, I agree. Whenever I went on it, it was super fun. It was definitely worth the wait. I mean, I personally like the queue as well because it's kind of big into the theme. And it's a classic. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
excited for after post renovation. So Big Thunder will go in the A tier. Next we have I actually don't know the definition or the actual name of this ride. We just called it Buzz for Lightyear. I think it's like Blaster Spin or something like that. It's like kind of a long name. The logo is says yeah, I can't even read it. Buzz Lightyear Spin is what it says. So, but that's the one where you go around and you shoot the lasers.
Right.
And then again, we're in a period where that's under renovation as well. So we haven't been on it since we had these passes, but I personally I remember every single time going on it. So I love it.
Yeah, it
Um,
was great. I think it's better than Toy Story Mania, in my opinion. But we'll save that for another time.
yeah, we will. But I remember me and my dad. We knew where the secret things were, the secret
Mm.
bullseyes or whatever, like targets. So we would go against each other trying to get. Oh man, what was it called? Super Ranger or something like that, where you got the
Mm.
99999 Galaxy Hero or something like that. So we would try to hit each other's guns, so we kept missing the perfect targets and all that. Great memories, and the pictures are always fun.
Yeah,
Um,
pictures are great.
so yeah, I'm thinking that this personally is an S tier for me.
Really?
Yeah,
First S tier?
first S tier is Buzz Lightyear.
I was more so thinking it's a B tier ride
B.
for me. But I could see where the
Whoa.
nostalgia for you would try to bump that to an
Yeah.
S.
Well, then I guess we'll put it in A then because
We'll
it's in
put it in
between.
A. We'll agree.
Okay, I'll agree in A. Ugh, not going in S tier. That's crazy. I really had high hopes for Buzz.
Buzz is still it's a great ride. Um,
Long wait
being able
times though.
long wait times, of course, but being able to go against a family member's great. Having that camaraderie with
Mhm.
others is cool too.
Yeah, I love this. I like that. That's what I love about Mania too. Is you get scores. So
Right.
like you know most like places you're like, oh, good job, you won. But like this, it's like you clearly see who did better. And that's what I like about Mania as well. Um. So anyways, our first show,
Uh
and
oh.
this is a classic for me. Country Bear Jamboree.
Mm.
Uh, as a classic. What do you feel about it?
So I have to be truthful. Most times when we would go to this show when we were younger, it was time to recuperate, eat some bagged lunches if we brought them, to rest in the air conditioning, sometimes nap. So we truly didn't get to experience this because we took advantage of all the facility that we could and opportunities to go back out there. Of course, we're all little kids, so we're not really worried about a show as much. So that's clouded judgment on my end, but maybe you can fill in where I
Yeah.
fell short.
Well, honestly, which is funny, we did the same thing. And I think that this is like a classic stop for veteran Disney goers is because you could see the annual passes in there eating sandwiches and stuff, which is funny because I clearly remember every time they make an announcement before that we're not supposed to eat in the theater, but we still ate anyways, which is funny. But that's just a memory of mine. But yeah, we always, especially hot in the summer, we'd always go in. It's nice and air conditioned, and it wasn't normally cramped in there. So we were able to like relax a little bit, spread out, eat our sandwiches, but that's nostalgia, and unfortunately, to rank this fair, I think we also have to put into like the animatronics and like the actual show. And I personally don't think it's that great. I think
I don't
people
think it's
only
either.
like it because of the nostalgia.
Hard to say. It's hard
Yeah,
to say.
it's hard to say. I think this is personally going to be our first D tier.
I agree
Oh,
fully.
perfect. Perfect. Country Bear Jamboree. I know I'm going to get some haters out there, especially some of my cousins and my mom, for sure. But sorry, guys. It's not that great. Um, Next is Dumbo. Previously stated, just a spinning around ride. But I think that there are some factors in there that set it apart, kind of like Astro Orbiter. Unfortunately, it is for kids, but the thing that sets it apart is the giant play area that they have in the queue. They queue you up, and if you have a little kid that wants to play, you get this little thing that they. It's like the thing that they have at restaurants when your table is ready, um, but it's like you. I think it's like 15 minutes, and it's basically like its own virtual queue that you still wait in line, but your kid gets to play. And so whenever the thing buzzes, you get your kid, then you can go to the second part of the line and go on. And I personally, I was never was old or young enough to go on the ride. I was already grown before, um, I could play on that, but my sister wasn't. And I remember very much that it seemed pretty cool. Uh, you seemed confused when I said that. Do you not remember this or never been on that?
No, I think we went more so we would always go the Aladdin route,
Okay.
because we would always be on that side to go pirates. So it was always we always would go like Aladdin, Pirates, Big Thunder Mountain. That was kind of the pit stops we would make. So we wouldn't necessarily venture to Dumbo necessarily if we were gonna do a spinning ride, because we were more so the Aladdin people when we were doing a spin ride.
Well then, yeah, I think they both go in hand, but there might be different nostalgia for each. So for Dumbo, like I said before, um, I think Astro is better than Dumbo and Aladdin. And so since Astro's at C, I think Dumbo would be at D, unfortunately.
I think it does have to fall there. The way you explained it, of course, it does have that kind of factor that sets it apart. But I don't think it gets to the same degree of what Astro had.
Yeah. And honestly, if they didn't have the Jungle Gym thing, I think it would be an F tier. It just spins.
Yeah.
It literally just spins. So, gotta get that out of here. Good for the kids though. They love it. They seem to enjoy it. Okay. Oh, I am not a princess guy. Like I've never watched. Well, I watched the princess movies, but I never was really, like super into them. But one of my favorite ones is Beauty and the Beast, and this next show is Enchanted Tales with Belle. Have you ever experienced that?
I have not, sadly.
No. Okay, so we
I'm
will have
coming up
to.
short. I'm
Uh,
coming up short.
we literally would do everything. When you go 40 times a year, you got to do
Right.
everything. So this is basically you go into I forgot her dad's name, but her dad, the tinkerer guy, the inventor or whatever, um, it's something to do with his workshop or whatever, and um, you find this mirror and it's enchanted or whatever, and it's on the wall, right? It's just a normal looking mirror, and with special effects, it literally opens. It just opens and extends, and then
Hmm.
you walk through it, and now you're in the Beast's castle, and Belle meets you there and tells the story of Beauty and the Beast, and then
Oh,
you
that
leave.
sounds fun.
It literally is so cool, and the special effect is like literally insane. There's actual videos trying to figure out how they did it, because tell me how a mirror on the wall turns into a doorway.
Right.
That's freaking sick. Um, but besides literally just that, um, they interact with kids. Like Belle brings up a couple kids to help interact and be the characters. Um, it's definitely great for kids and more so little girls. But I think it was good to experience that, especially because my sister was someone who got picked to help. And as someone who likes the special effects, it's a pretty cool effect. I mean, it's a mirror turning into a door.
Yeah.
So I think now we'll have to do a short of you going or watching it or
Oh,
experiencing it.
100%.
We'll have to
Each
do a
one
mini
where I've
vlog.
fallen short, I owe my homework,
Yeah,
and I'm going to write them for you guys. Stay tuned because I'm going to
yeah,
be
those will be
writing
good.
each one I've fallen short on.
Cool. Yeah, those are fun. So what we'll do is I think it goes to C.
Yeah.
Valid.
The way it
Okay.
sounds, I think I like it. I'll give an update when I get to experience
Yeah,
it.
we'll have to do mini updates when we do these mini vlogs. Next one, personal favorite for probably the wrong reasons. Hall of Presidents. Um, I this is kind of like for us like Country Bear Jamboree where it was a pit stop. We would do Country Bear Jamboree kind of earlier in the day, but Hall of Presidents was later. Um, right around where we hit a Haunted Mansion. So have you watched? I hope that you've
We have
watched
wa-
this one.
we've we've walked in, like I said, we're pit stop people.
Uh huh.
We're when we were going on our annual passes, we're big attractions. So we're waiting in Haunted Mansion. We're waiting at Big Thunder Mountain. We're waiting at Splash Mountain when it was a thing. But for when we were going, we wouldn't really go in the Hall of Presidents to necessarily watch, which I'm sure we did. I just don't remember because I'm so fogged with all the big stuff to miss the smaller things. But air conditioning, especially in those hot summer days when we were going, you wanted to be in the air conditioning. You don't want to have to keep staying in the sun.
Yeah, you say waiting in line. You spent all your time waiting in line. Did y'all not do fast passes that much?
Not really, not too much.
Okay.
We were waiters.
Okay, so that makes 100% sense. Once we were done with the fast, so we got 3 fast passes a day, and my mom had them on deck. And once you got rid of those three, as soon as you scan into the last one, the third one, you can immediately make one more. And my mom was on it, and that's why currently now I'm like, if it says 65 minutes, I don't know if I want to wait because I'm not used to waiting. I'm used to the fast passes.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I'm
the
with
waiting.
waiting.
Yeah, that makes
I'll
sense.
wait there all day.
That makes sense. Which also makes sense on why y'all spent a lot of time at those bigger
Oh
ones.
yeah,
Because we have had time to do the bigger ones and the smaller ones, and we weren't as tired because we had so much time because we were
right.
flipping through those rides. Like we would go to Big Thunder 2 or 3 times like a day
Oh wow.
because we had those fast passes, and as long as they were good, we were going. But Hall of Presidents, they were both, chill stations for us. But I think it is, um, there's an importance to learn about America's history. And I think it's cool, every year they add the new president or bring them to the front. And, Abe Lincoln does this really cool thing. And I've done some more research on this previously and watching videos and stuff. And the animatronics are very advanced, especially Abraham Lincoln's. And that stuff is cool. It seems like it's just an animatronic, but apparently, it is a bit harder for an animatronic to be sitting like Abe is and to stand up. And I think another thing that's hard about it is because he was so tall that they actually made the animatronic as tall. And for him to support the weight, I guess, is
Hmm.
super good. So with all that being said, I think this could be our first B tier.
I would give it a B tier.
All right, cool. Yeah, I think it has a lot of nostalgia with cooling down, but I also think that it benefits so much with everybody. And it's right next. It's connected to the thing that sells the turkey legs.
I love me a turkey
Yeah,
leg.
you know. That was kind of weird though. Yeah, you know. Next one. I fear this might be our first S tier. If not, that might be a little disappointing. Haunted Mansion.
S tier.
Yeah. No more. Okay. Yeah, just S tier. Throwing it up there. It's a classic.
It is a classic. It's something you could ride over and over,
Over and
and
over.
it's the same. It if someone says it's the same as Ariel, they're lying.
They got to get out.
They're lying. The effects to this day sometimes don't understand how all of the ghosts are dancing down in the dining hall.
Mm.
I just realized like a few visits ago, there's actually a piece of plastic that goes across. I thought it was just open. So it's still mind-boggling every time I go through to see how much intentionality there was and how much, like you said, effects go into making these rides that I couldn't even begin to even make.
Yeah. I wish I could throw in like I wish they brought the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff to our park because that stuff is cool over in Disneyland. I watch videos on that all the time and how they do like different gingerbread houses every year and all that. But unfortunately, obviously we can't judge on that. But as someone who does know the special effects, it's just as cool knowing how they do it and all the science really that goes behind it. Even that effect, like there's real science that goes behind some of these effects, and it's pretty cool. And like you said, it's a classic. It's cool and cool. I don't know how like it's cool and cold in there, if that makes sense. You're able to go in there and relax and chill, but um, yeah, it's it's an S tier. Enough said.
Also, the queue getting there is very cool. You're walking through outside, getting to see all the tombstones, you're getting to interact with the different things, and then you get to go into the stretching room, which is also very cool. There's like little hidden things, like sometimes you don't get to look at everything at one time. To truly be able to take in the stretching room itself, you gotta look around a few times and get to ride it a couple times to see everything and what it's doing at each moment. And that's for the whole ride. You can get so focused on looking at one part of the ride that you miss all the effects on the other side. So it truly takes a few times of riding and just being dedicated to looking at certain parts to be able to fully comprehend what's going on, to what degree it's happening.
Perfect. S tier. Okay, so previously talked about next is Aladdin. Um, Pretty quick. You were on this one. You on this one more. I went on Dumbo. Um, Dumbo's at D. Would you rate that higher or lower? Or equal?
I liked the carpets, they were awesome, but I think to keep it fair for Dumbo, I think we have to rate it the same.
Percent.
Because if you boil it down to what they both are, they're both spinning, and the one factor that makes Astro higher is because it's higher.
Right.
So if we're both going from the ground, they're both the same, but it's just the theme. So it's whichever, when you were a kid, which movie you aligned more with. So I would have to be fair and
Fair.
give
Put
it a
it in
D.
D. Yeah, I agree. All right, next. Um, Amazing Ride, Jungle Cruise, another classic. They even got a made movie about it. Let me bring it.
Great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it before, The Rock did a pretty good
Really?
job. It's a great
I've
movie.
never seen it.
Really
Yeah, we'll have to do a review on this.
interesting.
Yeah, I've never actually seen that movie. There's the newer ones. I don't really watch that often.
Yeah, it was a great movie.
But, um, so yeah, the ride. I think it's a classic. there was a time where I hated going on it. I was like, why the freak are we going on this again? But as I kind of grew up, I was like, this is the nostalgia, I guess, got me to it again of the skippers' stupid jokes that they say over and over and over, and that's really it. Like, there's stuff to look at, the animatronics and stuff, but I mean, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's a fake hippo, it's a fake rhino, and whatever. But it's it's the it's the riding on the boat and the nostalgia and stuff for me. Uh, that makes that ride pretty good.
I I personally love it. I love that ride. I like the jokes, and I think I can put more. I've been watching this series that Disney Plus has on, and it's the behind the scenes of how the ride was built and made and thought of. And the first episode was actually the Jungle Cruise. Of course, it was for Disneyland and not Disney World. But to see all the thought and intentionality in how it came from its basic beginnings and how Walt would ride every once in a while. And even there was a part of the episode where the skipper knew that Walt was on the boat, so he made the boat ride 4 minutes instead of seven. And Walt was super upset because someone didn't get the full experience of the ride. So clearly, Walt was trying to look out for that ride, not that ride specifically, but for all of the rides. So I personally think it's an A tier.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as well. Yeah, I love it. All right, guys, that was our part one of our Magic Kingdom attraction and shows rank tier list. As a recap, we have Haunted Mansion as S tier, Big Thunder, Buzz's Spin Ride, and Jungle Cruise all at A. Hall of Presidents is at B. Astro, Barnstormer, and Enchanted Tales with Belle is at C. And then we have the Country Bear Jamboree, Dumbo, and Aladdin at D. We currently have no F tiers.
That's great. We love to see it.
Yeah, so that means nothing absolutely sucks right now. We hope to see you next week for our second part. Right now, we have 11 on the board. Next week, we're going to have to do 17. So hopefully, we get a little bit more going. Maybe we'll do a part three. We'll see how quickly we get to those. But we really hope that you enjoyed this episode. And look out on our socials for different shorts, like on YouTube Shorts. We got Instagram Reels and TikToks.
Yeah, guys, make sure you're checking them out. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.